Digital editor at The Big Issue, Sophia Alexandra Hall, to continue our review of all of the day's papers. Very good morning to you guys again.
Good morning.
Sophia, we're starting off with one you've picked out of The Express. Dementia easier to spot over Christmas.
Yes, I've spotted this in a few papers this morning, but I thought important to bring up. NHS England has made everyone aware that dementia is easier to spot over Christmas, and that is because of the way you spend time with friends and family, and they've asked people to look out for a few symptoms, including forgetfulness, difficulty making plans, word-finding problems. And they're encouraging people to get a diagnosis. Currently, there are about 500,000 people who have a diagnosis of dementia, but they think there's a lot more people living without a diagnosis. So if you spot any friends or family members or yourself having these symptoms, please go talk to a doctor.
Just to add, I mean, this all sounds very sensible advice, and clearly, if you have dementia, it's vital to get medical help, but it's also a sensitive issue. So suggesting to your mum or your dad or your grandfather or grandmother over the Christmas turkey that they might have dementia, you've got to do it very, very gently.
Well, yes, exactly. Maybe not in the middle of the meal is the way to do that. On to the next one, Matthew, particularly the photograph you were drawn to in the Telegraph.
Yeah, well, we were looking for a bit of festive cheer, and
Yeah.
Father Christmas, not the real Father Christmas, of course, is on the front page of the Telegraph this morning. And
That's not Elon Musk dressed up as Father Christmas.
No, I don't think Elon wears glasses,
Not
does
those
he?
glasses.
Not that I know of. Looks like Nigel has made the nice list. That's the headline. I think this is significant for two reasons. One is that the Daily Telegraph is carrying a picture of the leader of Reform, and the Telegraph has traditionally aligned itself with the Conservative Party. But there's a feeling amongst some of us that Reform, and I disagree with almost everything that they put out there, is becoming the real opposition. Even though they only have 5 MPs and the Tories have around, I think, 121 MPs, they're an agile, nimble bunch, and they're very effective at punching above their weight. And I think the second reason it's important, it's linked to this, is that it's a huge year ahead for Reform. Because Labour are struggling in the polls, because Starmer's approval ratings are extremely low, and because the Conservatives were seen, I think, by the electorate generally, not by everyone, to have failed over the last 14 years or so, if Labour don't get its act together, if we don't start to see growth, if people don't feel a little bit better off, if the NHS doesn't improve, who are the electorate likely to turn to? Well, one possibility is Reform, because are they going to go back to the Conservatives, who they've just rejected, or are they going to embrace a populist alternative? So how Reform fares in the 12 months ahead, I think, is really interesting.
And they definitely sort of punch above their weight in terms of the column inches versus number of seats. We'll see in the next 12 months whether they also punch above their weight in terms of fundraising, which has been the big focus. It's in the Times today as well, with Nick Candy commenting in the Times.
Yeah, we were discussing what that donation might mean for 2029 and if the next general election, if we do wait 5 years for it, and whether that will make an impact, because the amount of tech giants who got behind Trump, and we saw how that benefited him in his recent win in the US, is that going to be a similar story over here? We can only wait and see.
And it's such interesting territory, because Labour have a challenge in this area. Do they try to prevent that? Do they try to block it? Would that actually play into the hands of Reform politically? But Reform have also got a challenge, because are Reform voters that keen on a foreign billionaire funding Nigel Farage's party? There could be a significant backlash there. So it's not a straightforward story.
We shall see. Sophia, next story, Wonder Dog Who Gave Us Back Our Christmas.
Another festive story and a positive one. Our third big issue this year for the Christmas season, our bumper special, was Santa Paws is Coming to Town. I wrote a lot and read a lot about the dogs who are life-changing, and this is one of those dogs. So I want to introduce you to little Bobby Clark, who is 7 years old, and this is his 2-year-old dog, Zeus. Bobby has autism, and until this year hasn't really been able to experience Christmas in the way that so many children are able, because of the light, the sound, the chaos of it all. He had run away from Santa's grotto before, but thanks to Zeus, who is a support dog, he has been able to not only visit Santa, but his parents say have his first Christmas ever. And I think this is just a really lovely story.
Well, I think the two of them look adorable.
Yes.
Both Bobby Clark and Zeus, a 2-year-old Red Fox Labrador. Very, very, very sweet. Glad you brought us up that one.
We have Cocker Spaniels, and they are an enormous part of our family life. They get presents.
Names?
Murphy, ginger like me, and Sonny, black and white.
Very nice indeed. Well, and is one of their favourites over Christmas to eat a bit of chocolate or not? Keep the chocolate
don't
away.
think you should.
No,
No.
I think chocolate is a no-no for dogs, but they get lovely bones that they can chew on. They seem to know which presents are for
Do
them
the
as
bones
well.
have a royal warrant? You see where I'm leading you to?
That's a very good question. Yes, you tried with the chocolate.
I tried.
Initially, I didn't see where
I
you were
know,
going,
you
but
were-
now I do. Now, I was not really,
Next story.
in my naivety, I was not really aware of the royal warrant, the sort of seal of royal approval. But, of course, there are companies in this country who have precisely that, and it has, we've learned over the last 24 hours, and my wife was particularly interested in this story as a regular consumer of Cadbury's chocolate, other brands are available, that Cadbury's no longer has this royal seal of approval. It has been removed by King Charles. We do not know why. There's been speculation, but we don't have a firm answer.
What does this article, I haven't read it yet, this two-pager get to?
Well,
how do they speculate?
There has been a campaign for it to be removed because I think the parent company has continued to operate under Putin. And, of course, there are sanctions on the Russian regime, but it is thought that that is not actually the reason because other companies in a similar position have not had their royal warrant removed.
There we go. Well, either way, I'm sure their sales will be doing well.
I don't think they need to worry.
This week of all weeks, even if Murphy and Sonny won't be the beneficiaries of it. Next story, Sophia, we've gone for Lonely this Christmas. Is this your one? Have I gone in the wrong order now?
Actually, talking about how well sales have done, the Boxing Day sale is predicted to be the best in years.
It's a good news story, although loneliness, of course, is a really important
Well, no,
issue
but
at Christmas.
this is the main story on page was a Prince Andrew story. So you've gone one for the bottom of the Boxing Day best for years.
Yeah, it's predicted to get 3.73 billion will be spent on Thursday. But I picked out the story because last week at the big issue, we covered how it's been a slow start to the festive spending season. Christmas is usually a bumper period time, but there was a particularly poor start. Both Ted Baker and The Body Shop entered administration. Other high street titans like M&S and Boots are downsizing. There's a lot of bad news as well. So I don't think the predictions for this Thursday tell the whole story.
The physical rush on Boxing Day is much down, of course, on past decades as opposed to maybe past years. But we'll see how it goes. Guys, thanks so much.
Happy
Been a pleasure.
Christmas. Happy
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas to you both. Sophia, Matthew, thank you so much. We're going to take another quick break here on Sky News Today. We'll be back at the top of the hour with all the day's top stories. Which one did we miss?
Weeknights on Sky News.